Another week 9 of our ministerial ethics and Passion Week 2026. Our focus for this week is ethics in church administration and governance. Now, our work is not just spirituality when it comes to a balanced minister. It's a place of church administration and governance. In fact, one of our senior bishops said many years ago that preaching and praying is 10% of our ministry, while the major work is church administration and governance. For some of us who were just coming to ministry then, we wrestle a lot with that word, that statement, because we believe, preaching, that's the core of Christian ministry. But as I was growing up, spending years in ministry, I begin to see that the retired bishop was right, actually right, and I begin to see those things taking more time, wearing people out, calls for critical thinking, brainstorming, planning, administering God's people. It's a serious work. Anybody can come to the pulpit and preach and pray and go, but the major work is outside the pulpit for any pastor that knows what he's doing. So that's why in church ethics, it's a major topic to talk about church administration and governance. Because if you can pray very well and you can spill fire out of your mouth, and when it comes to administration, you are a failure. Nobody people will look at you and come to conclusion about your ministry based on administration. Because administration is what they see. Anybody can preach, anybody can pray. After all, when you look at the world today, you see many people online praying and preaching, so it doesn't matter, anybody. But when it comes to the governance, the administration, it's a core of our ministry. So you are not called to be a priest alone, you are called to be an administrator. Don't forget that. If you have many people who are working with you in the church, you need to administer every department to ensure things are working well. If you're having a problem with the choir can tell you. I don't know, maybe some of you grew up to meet when choir go on strike. Choir usually go on strike, or some of you may not know. The choir will say to the next 3-4 hours, we are going to demonstrate. And, it's administration. You are administering people, you are administering papers, not just people. And your ability to govern, that is leadership. That's leadership. Okay, so what are we saying this week is that when it comes to ethics in church administration and governance, it involves policy, it involves discipline, it involves conflict resolution, and it involves church canons. Can you see another part to it? In Church of Nigeria, we have constitutions and canons of the Church of Nigeria. So that's our instrument of church administration and governance. So your ability to make use of the instrumentality of the church canons to administer the church makes you a good leader in our church. You are not only administer the church canons to the church alone, it's also administering it to yourself too. So this is serious work. Can you see why it is voluminous? Can you see why it's a major aspect of our ministry, like the retired bishop says? So why ethics matter in church governance? That's the subtopic I would like us to quickly consider. Why is ethics an issue in church governance? Now, Ethics in church administration is not just about the rules, okay, or regulations. It's about cultivating a community that reflects the character of Christ. Please don't forget this. Cultivating a community that reflects the character of Christ. Now, governance shapes how authority is exercised, how decisions are made, and how the church protects its member. Chicken, I will say it again. Governance shapes how authority is exercised, how decisions are made, and how the church protects its member. That is governance. That's governance. If it's a worldly politics, it's the same. So, looking at the key aims of ethical governance now, what are the key aims of ethical governance? Number one, you're promoting transparency and accountability. You are promoting transparency and equity. I think we talked about this some times ago. Number two, you're protecting vulnerables. Who are the vulnerables in our church? Every member is vulnerable. Outside that, we come to children, okay? We come to women, and we come to elders, the seniors. Those are vulnerable people, or people who are dealing with one disability or the other. They are the vulnerable. That's why if you are sensitive to what's going on in the world, in so many places, people don't want to go to church again because the church leader has abused, you know, vulnerables, and they're not ready to be accountable, and they're not ready to transparency. That's why many people abandon church. They're like, wait, I'm done. Akacham. Is it? I don't know. You understand that statement now? I'm done. Akacham. So, because the ethics of the Christian ministry is no longer there. Number three, key aim of ethical governance is that it ensures fairness and due process. Fairness in dealing with everybody, in relating with everybody, fairness and due process in all we do. The church cannot just run away from due process in all we do. I don't know when we're talking about mourning and accountability and all that a few weeks ago. I don't know if it is this class. We talked about that. And another reason, another aim is to maintain unity and trust. Unity and trust. And another one is to reflect biblical values in organizational life, because it's a form of organization. Yet you are reflecting biblical values. So by that, the church is setting pace for the world. We're showing the world how to lead. So if the world want to know how to lead, they should come to the church. That's what this is saying to us. Let's look at the foundations of church governance. Every church tradition has its own polity. In seminary, in the theological college, church polity is a course in maybe fourth level or fourth year or 3 year. When theological colleges training is 3 years. You at year 3 you do church polity. But now that has become maybe 4 years, you spend 1 year in language school or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how this thing works again. In the final class, just say the final, be on the safe side. In the final class, you will have to do church polity. Church tradition uh, deals with own policies, own polity. Understand this. We need to understand this. Okay, when you look at Episcopal Church, Presbyterian Church, Orthodox churches, all right, all of them have their own church polity. But ethical governance shares common principle. Ethical governance share common principles. There are a lot of differences in what happens in different churches, but when it comes to ethical governance, it's a common principle. And we need to understand that what is applicable in this church must be applicable in other. If Bible is what you are reading, you must have common biblical value in your ethical governance. What are the core ethics or ethical principles? What are the core ethical principles? Number one is stewardship. You are managing resources faithfully. That's stewardship, including church drums. Okay. That's why when you see a priest entering the church, you are arranging things, you are putting things in place all the time. Oh, these people, they leave this thing, they left this thing here yesterday, you pack it. Because you are a steward. It's not meant for the sexton alone. We do church planting here. Our church here started 10 years ago, 11 years now. And I started the church with two people, two families. And till now, despite the fact I have people who are doing things, every Sunday, I'm the first person to get to church to start arranging things. So even as whatever you call me, whether it's variable or whatever you call it, I'm still the one pushing share every Sunday, arranging stuff every Sunday. Meanwhile, when you go to other part of the church, maybe in another country, Archdeacon is the big boss. Our work is not like that. You are a steward. Whatever position you are occupying, you are still a steward. And that's how we should be. We should remain a steward. You must not be too big to serve. Because some of us are beginning to, we are now a priest. We are now using collar. You now become a boss. You sit down and command people around. No, that's not our ministry. You lead by example. You're not sitting down asking people to do things. You have to be part of what you show it how to do it. Stewards. You are managing God's resources faithfully. You're managing money, you're managing people, you're managing property, you're managing integrity of the church faithfully. Number two is integrity. You are consistent between belief and practice. Your belief is not different from your practice. You're not preaching something else and doing something else behind. Okay? Then if you do that, you're a Pharisee. Integrity. It doesn't matter when anybody is there or not. You are who you say you are. And people believe you and they come to you 10 times. You're still the same. Number three is justice, fair treatment, and impartial decision making. Fair treatment, impartial decision making with everyone. You see, it doesn't matter whether you are Hausa, whether you're a Caucasian, whether you're Jamaican, or Haiti, or Yoruba, or Igbo, or whatever you call it. It doesn't matter when it comes to church. Everybody must be treated fairly. There's no tribe in heaven. There's only one tribe, the family of Christ. That's all who we are. So it doesn't matter where you come from, whether you are Yoruba or it doesn't matter as far as I am concerned. If you play that card around me, you're going to be my enemy forever. I don't believe in tribalism. I don't believe this, that, Yoruba. Those things doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. So everybody, once you are named after Christ, we are one. We are the same. We are brothers. We are brothers. All right. So this is very important. Justice, fair treatment to anybody. It doesn't matter where they come from or who they are. Another one is subsidiarity. Subsidiarity is decision made at the appropriate level. Decision you made at the appropriate level. You know, it's not going to be the same decision all the time. You know, some are situational, some are biblical. You have just have to take it. The higher you go, the tougher the decision you are going to be making. So whatever happens, you're going to make the right decision. You're not going to bend rules. Okay, what applies to this applies to this. Okay, and the last one is service. When it comes to service, leadership as ministry, not domination. You are not Oga at the top, and nobody can correct you. You are forcing it down the throat of the people. That's not our ministry. Leadership is a ministry. It's not a domination. It's not. It's not. So we need to humble ourselves. We need to humble ourselves. And when we look at the governance structures, it includes the following. Now, in the church, clergy or pastoral leadership, councils, boards, or elders, okay, committees, whether finance, personnel, worship, and whatever committees you have, and the canonical constitution documents. So those are the governance structures, and we need to take note of that. Clergy or pastoral leadership, council, board, vestries, elders, committees, finance, personal worship, and canonical or constitutional documents. This is very important. Looking at the policies, ethical frameworks for church life. Now, policies are the backbone of ethical administration. You know, policies prevent confusion. It protects the church legally and, of course, ensure consistent treatment of all matters. I want to read it again. Policies prevents confusion. It protects the church legally and ensure consistent treatment of all the members. Now, let me warn you, in our home country where we're coming from, it's very rare for pastors or church to be sued some times ago. But now, people are beginning to sue people in our country. I don't know if you're following the social network. People are beginning to sue. And in this part of the world, in the western part of the world, you and I know that people like taking you to court, suing you because they catch out from it. So that's why you have to be very, very careful. Some things people at home may not care about. You have to care about it because you're in the Western world. For some of us who are in the Western world, and not all of us are in the Western world, some are still in Nigeria. But the point is that both in Nigeria now and here, whatever anywhere you are, people are now suing pastors. So you need to protect the church legally. That's why There must be policies for everything we are doing. What are the essential policies or policy area? What are some essential financial policies? Financial policies. Now, there must be budget, audits, transparency, conflict of interest rules under financial policies. So you must have this in a healthy church. As an administrator, so things will be happening. For example, a member that celebrates burial of their parents, marriage of their daughters, whatever people are celebrating again, any family celebrating things, the church will be giving them £100 or $100. It's a policy. This check shall be given to them 2 weeks before their celebration. That is a policy. A letter of congratulation shall be written on behalf of the church, signed by the clergy and the wardies with the check we are giving to them. So this will be a policy you follow. In 2025, in 2026, our honorarium for a pastor who came in to preach to us from outside will be £200. And in 2026, at least if we have 10 ministers, £2,000 is a budget. You may spend that $2,000, you may not spend it. So, but you have budget for it. And at the end of the year, your account will be audited without any, discrepancies. Number two is personnel policies. You must have policy that covers hiring. Okay, the church we shall hire our pastor. Our pastor shall go through interview process. The people's warden shall be chairman of the hiring committee. The outcome of the hiring committee shall be submitted to the member for approval or for review. These are personnel policy. Okay. Our church shall not take people from Nigeria. We shall take people who are in United Kingdom or United States or Canada alone. These are policies. Okay. Nobody shall harass anybody. That is harassment prevention. So that is personnel policy. Another one is safeguarding policies, protection of minor and vulnerable adults. Okay. Everyone leading youth, children must go through sexual harassment program. They must get a clearance from police before they can be allowed to take care of our children. These are policies. It must be written and pass. When they are written and pass, whatever happens in the future, you have something that covers you because it will be part of your policy. Another one is facility use policy, which may include fair access, liability, community partnership, facility use. We shall not use beer parlor for our service. We shall not use hotel for our service. Okay? We shall not have partnership with the following centers. Policies. Then we have communication policies. Social media policy, confidentiality, data protection, communication policies. So it may not be more than one page, one page, one page, one page, one page, one page. And you have it in your file in the office. If anything happens, you make reference to that. That's how you. Otherwise, if something happens, you are just pulling things out. There will be a lot of pushback, a lot of noise. But if it's a policy that everybody has and everybody is aware of it, whenever you pull it out, people will look at it. But okay, it's part of what we have. But if you don't have it, you're not covered. And if anything happens, you'll be liable. Okay, ethical considerations. Policies must be clear, accessible, and consistently applied. Policies should be reviewed regularly. Okay, it's not just one time thing, you just do it and put it there. You have to review it from time to time. Policies must align with scripture, tradition, and civil law. Policies must align with scripture, tradition, and civil law. Why? Because people get their glory in suing sometimes non-profit organization or church and cash out. So we should not allow those who don't know God cash out on our ignorance. We will not be able to explain it. The next section we're looking at is accountability. Our ethical approach to accountability, discipline. Ethical approach to accountability, discipline. Church discipline is often misunderstood most times. Ethically practice, it is restorative and not punitive. All right, it is restorative and not punitive. What are the biblical foundations for this? When you read Matthew 18:15-17, you see reconciliation, restoration there. When you read Galatians chapter 6, verse 1, you see correcting with gentleness. If you read First Corinthians chapter 5, you read protecting the community. It is rooted in the Bible. Okay. And when it comes to discipline, what are the ethical principles of discipline? Number one, due process. Clear procedures, documented steps must be available. There must be impartiality, avoiding being biased of having a favoritism or bias. You need to avoid that as a church. Okay? Confidentiality is part of the discipline we must cultivate. Protecting reputations, not just only impartiality, not just only due process, confidentiality. It's also part of the discipline we must imbibe. Restoration. Okay? Ethical principle of discipline, restoration. The goal of discipline people sometimes is to heal and not humiliation. Proportionality is also part of it. That is, if anybody offends, the consequences matches the offense. Okay? In church, we excommunicate people in the olden days when they misbehave. Okay? God help the church. Now, what are the typical disciplinary processes? Typical. Now, there must be informal conversation. And we must learn to use this power of this, meeting people one-on-one, to talk about whatever bothering or issues we are raising. Then, sometimes formal complaints to the church or to the government. For example, if there's sexual harassment, you don't cover it. You need to, as a church, we need to report it. Then investigation. We must learn to set up committee to investigate the situation. Not a single person will just stretch his neck and come to conclusion. It must be investigation. And people must be given privilege of hearing. If anybody commits offense, if you don't jump into conclusions as a church, call for hearing and review. Okay? And decision and pastoral care plan. When somebody misbehaves and you want to deal with that person, there must be pastoral care plan to be restored. If you don't put that, then it means it's punitive. We must put pastoral plan, in our recommendation. And in our decision, we need to be careful of that too. And the follow up and reintegration. Follow up and reintegration. You're not punishing someone to destroy his soul. It must be restorative. Looking at the conflict resolution, ethical practices for peace and unity. Let me tell you, in the church, conflict is inevitable. If you like, continue to speak in tongue forever. Conflict is inevitable. But unethical handling of it is optional. Ethical way of dealing with conflict. Conflict is inevitable. Unethical handling is optional. So we need to handle every conflict with all seriousness. What are the common source of conflict? Number one, leadership style can be different. Can be different. When you have two leaders, they can't do things the same way. So sometimes when you change your leadership, that brings conflict. Another one is financial disagreement. And there's no trust again. Number three is theological and doctrinal disputes. You just climb the pulpit and say something. Maybe you don't verify that very well. You don't know what that means. Okay, so that will be theological or doctrinal disputes. But people will not go to agree with what you are preaching, and that can bring conflict if you don't handle it very well. Another thing is personality clashes. So we need to be careful with this and miscommunication when our communication is not clear enough. That can be source of conflict. Looking at the ethical conflict resolution strategy, what are the strategies? Number one is active listening, hearing before responding. Number two is mediation, neutral third party facilitation, allow third party to come into it. Clear communication, avoid assumptions. Clear communication is very important. Transparency, explaining your decision openly. Let people look into it and criticize it. And reconciliation. We must prioritize relationship over winning. In the church, nobody's winning. I was in a committee sometimes where somebody say, "Oh, some group wins." There's no winning. There's no loser. Okay, we must prioritize relationship over winning or losing. Nobody's losing. Nobody's winning. Okay, it's to the glory of God. Whatever happens, the tools for leadership are, there's something we call peacemaking model. You can search for it. Ken Sanders 4Gs can be helpful. And consensual building technique also can be useful. Consensual building technique and the structured dialogue processes. All these are online. You can search for it. It can be helpful for leaders. Reading and applying church canons now, which is the last stage of this, on governance and discipline. Since you mentioned read church canons, you know, we need to read that. I have mentioned that to you in what I'm going to be posting on the platform, making references to that now. So we need to look at how to approach the church constitution and canons. So you need to, when you open it, you can get it's not expensive. You can look into identify, some sections there, like the section of authority. You will see them, they wrote it by the left side. Authority, roles, discipline, membership, due process. You see it in our constitution. So that will guide you to look into it. And whenever you are reading this constitution, compare them with the Bible. What are the biblical principles? Okay. And as you are reading it, you need to highlight where, areas where canon protect clergy accountability, lay participation, lay discipline, financial integrity, safeguarding. These are things you should be looking for in the Constitution. Okay. And you need to look more into how these legal documents are reviewed, how it applies to you, the ethical guideline, and the pastoral tools there. All right. Yeah. Get Nigerian constitution or whatever constitution you're using wherever you are. I know you may have different constitution in is it ANI you are ANI Anglican network in Europe. I don't know so much about your structure. So find out what canons and constitution you are using over there. Or if you are in Nigeria, you get the Constitution of Church of Nigeria. If you're in Europe, you can get your constitution and canons there and look at it. All right. As a matter of conclusion, ethical governance is not merely administrative, like I've said, it's a spiritual practice. So when leaders govern ethically, they model Christ's character and create a community where trust, justice, and love can flourish. Okay. This is just the overview of that. It's a lot, but there are things you have been reading over and over and over and over. So if you take time to look into it, you notice that these are very, very important things. I will talk to you again next week on this. Please take time to read the text for the week or read those constitution you have and I will provide. All right, take care, everyone.